Okay, so we had Daily 5. So for Daily 5 is a literacy structure that allows for differentiation in the classroom and provides consistency. And it's just an integrated literacy instruction, and it helps with classroom management for reading and writing workshops. So it's really good for like students to become independent and kind of create their own classroom management. And it's kind of chaos, but if you can help them to be independent and help like make sure they know what they're doing and they know their jobs, and you kind of make your rules at the beginning, it's a pretty successful. So it has 5 literacy tasks that teach students independence.
Oh, I remember this. Okay, so why use it? The Daily 5. So it's designed to help students with the reading and writing. Obviously, it's the literacy block, and like Maddie said, it's a big independence thing. So the students are very engaged in what they're doing. They're picking their own books. They're deciding which activity they want to do during which rotation. So they get to take a lot of initiative in their own learning, and so they're much more engaged because they're picking their own books and what they're writing. They care a lot more about it. It means a lot more to them, which is cool. And they spend a lot of time reading, which obviously the best way to learn how to read is to practice reading, and so that's really good for them. For the teacher, it's easy for the teacher because the kids are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and she can just monitor that. The teacher does small group activities while they're working, and so she's only working with a small portion of the students at a time. And obviously teachers have a lot of their own experience to share with the students, which is good.
So we are going to expand more on what each of the components are, but just to cover them up, they're read to self, work on writing, read to someone, listen to reading, and word work. And each part kind of has something that makes it unique and is what makes the Daily 5 what it is.
So read to self is the first one. And there are 3 ways that a child can read to themselves. The first way is to read the pictures, to go through the book and to read the pictures, which might be a very new idea for students. They don't realize that reading is not just the words, but they can also go through the pictures, so that's something you can model for the students, is how they can go through the book first and read the pictures before they can go through again. The second way is the words, which is what you normally think of when you think of reading to yourself. And then the third way to do it is to retell the story. So they could come back the next day and they could retell that story that they read before. So those are 3 different ways that they can read a book to themselves. It's important for kids to know how that time is structured, and so they need to know that they're reading the whole time. They're working on their stamina, on their focus of how long they can read for. They need to be quiet, they need to stay in one spot so that they can stay focused. So yeah, and this is a time if the teacher needs to work with specific students with their reading, she can listen to the students if she wants them to read to the teacher, stuff like that.
Okay, another component is work on writing. Sometimes they call it work on reading as well. So this is a time where students work individually or with a partner on writing of their choice. So the huge thing in Daily 5 is they get to choose what component they're going to focus on. And then, so within work on writing, they also get to choose what they're going to write about, which is really fun for the students. So some confusion, some people consider this the same as writing workshop. Everything we read says is not the same as writing workshop. So writing workshop focuses more on different writing techniques and specific types of writing, whereas Daily 5 is more, they just get to write on whatever they want to write on. So it's just different from writing workshop, so that's just a clarification we wanted to make sure you had. So yeah, students often use this time to either write something original that starts from the beginning, or they can continue a writing that they had been working on before in another part of class. Okay, so a couple suggestions for teachers, just some ideas that you can implement into work on writing. Each student should have their own writing journal. This is just where they can do their daily 5 activities, they can write anything. If you have them write later on in class for a different activity, they can do that as well. I'm gonna skip down to the picture prompt cards. So a lot of students will ask, what do I write about? I don't know what to write about. This is just a really cool idea that I found, that you can just have like a assortment of cards, and they just draw a card, and if it's like, what did you do this weekend? Then they write about what they did this weekend. So that's just a really cool idea. They always have something to write about, and even if they can't come up with it on their own, they have an option for that. And then as they're writing, if they don't know how to spell a word, they should be encouraged to just try their best at it. And then if they're not sure that they spelled it correctly, they should underline it. And that's where the student dictionary comes into play. So this was a really cool idea that I found on Pinterest, actually. They each have their own student dictionary, so as they're writing, they write those unknown words in their student dictionary, and then at a later time they can go look them up and find the definition, how it's actually spelled, and then that just becomes like an assortment of words that they weren't sure of but that they've learned now, so that can be helpful for other activities as well.
Read to someone. So this is where the student also has a choice. They can choose probably a person of equal level. So an idea we've talked about a lot about having the same like coding of the books, what color they are, and the students will know, so they can pair up with the same book level. So this improves reading fluency and comprehension, so they can hear and listen to someone read, and then they can discuss the book and help with comprehension. And then vice versa, the other student will do the same thing. It increases reading involvement, attention, and collaboration, and then it helps develop a better reader. You can implement this into your classroom with Speak. I read, you read, choral reading. For comprehension, this is what I just talked about. Student B asks student A to summarize what they just read, and then also you can retell the story.
Okay, and for listen to reading, this allows students to hear proper pronunciation and fluency through listening to other readings. And doing so, this expands their vocabulary because they're being exposed to words maybe they wouldn't normally be able to read on their own. But by listening to others read it, they can expand that. Then as well, it builds stamina because they get used to not only looking at words, but then hearing someone else reading and improving that area. And this is a great alternative for English language learners because they're being able to see the words that are being read, but if they're not always sure how they're being pronounced, then listening to someone else say them is a perfect way for them to understand how the words are being pronounced and understand reading with expression in English and books in general. And ways to implement this, it can be done a variety of ways, especially with the amount of technology we have. So a simple way would be just listening to books on tape, and that can be already in your classroom, and students, that kind of like helps focus in on their independence because they can go in a little corner, put their headphones on, and listen to a book on their own. And that can also be done with iPads, and that will be a little more interactive. There's plenty of apps and other sources, which I'm sure we'll talk about more later, but where you can be online and like answering questions and listening to someone read, and they get a choice of what they want to listen to. And another way to use it would be having the teacher reading to the class, and so this way everyone's hearing the same book, and that can implement more discussion between peers, and also they can hear their own teacher using fluency and expression and everything that you're trying to teach your students. They can hear you doing and put into practice from there.
So word work focuses on spelling and vocabulary work. Students can experiment with spelling patterns, memorize high-frequency words, and develop a genuine curiosity and interest for new words. They can do this by playing with words, word patterns, word families, prefixes, suffixes, all that stuff, and it helps improve their knowledge of words and increase their writing skills. So the way that they can use some of these is they can do rainbow writing, they can do small group word work, they can use big knits on like a cookie sheet or something and create their own words. They can use eye charts, flip books, there's all kinds of different things they can use. And they can do this with their spelling words that they have for the week. I know one of the classrooms I'm in right now, they have their pre-tests on Monday, and then they do their word work is one of their first groups they do for the daily 5. So they do their rainbow writing, they have to write the word 3 times. And then they get to do like one of these activities. So they first always have to do rainbow writing, And then a lot of them will do like stamps also and make their words, and then they have a specific journal where they do all this stuff in, and then it just kind of helps them with memorizing those words and repetition of them.
Okay, so as any reading program, there's benefits and there's weaknesses. So the benefits, first, it's a very strong reading program that's widely used in classrooms. So it helps the students to develop independent stamina and accountability, like we've all talked about. There's less time, the less time is consumed by classroom management, which leaves room for more instruction. So you're essentially teaching your kids to manage their own behavior, which makes the rest of your day go a lot smoother. The framework adapts to district adapted curriculums and state mandates, so it fits almost any curriculum your district is gonna make you have. It fits under most of them. It improves school-wide literacy achievement and behaviors of independence transferred to other content areas, so it's not just a literacy thing, you can apply these things that they're learning to almost any content area.
The weaknesses of Daily 5. The students do not have a chance to incorporate what they learn in the focus lesson during the next activity. There's less practice in between each activity. More work for the teacher, small group instruction for 100% of the students, and distracting classroom atmosphere during read to self.
And then something that's talked about a lot with the Daily 5 is the Good Fit books. And so one of the cool things about this is it's not just kids, like, you don't just give them like, hey, this is your sticker color, find books that are that color or that level, whatever. They have a chance to go and look for themselves and find books that look interesting to them, and that it teaches them to figure out whether or not a book is something that is a good fit for them. And so that's just cool, because then outside of the classroom they're still able to find books that are good for them. And so the acronym that they use is IPIC, and so I choose the book, and then the P, purpose, why do I want to read it? Is this something I want to read? So interest, does it interest me? And so that's just looking at whether or not this is a topic that the student's interested in, something they'll enjoy. And then comprehend, as they flip through a couple pages, can they understand what they're reading? And then know, do I know most of the words? Because they know that